Today I want to address a topic that it seems like a lot of people in the gun community seem to not understand, at least based on some comments I've received in the last couple of videos that I've made. And this is that police do not have the right to target you simply because you have a gun. They don't get to label you a threat simply because you're exercising a constitutional right. That is not just cause for harassment. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, they have a right to stop you, make sure you're not a bad guy and that you should be allowed to own that gun. No, they do not have a right to do that without just cause. They do not get to harass you simply because you have a gun. No more than they have a right to stop every single person driving a car to look and see if there's something they could possibly give them a ticket for. They don't have a right to stop you for no reason and then try to find out if there was a reason to justify stopping you. Just like they don't get to stop somebody that's just standing outside of a bar and say, you're going to submit to a breathalyzer or I'm taking you in. We're going to prove you're drunk in public. If they're not doing anything wrong and you didn't even see them drinking or getting in a car, etc., you got no right to stop them. And it's the same thing with having a gun. Police don't get to stop you and harass you and see if there's something they can find wrong just because they don't like the fact that you're carrying a gun. You are not a threat simply because you're exercising your constitutional rights, as I said before. You have to be acting in some other way to give them reason to stop you, or they have to have some other prior knowledge about you that would give them reason to stop you. They don't get to target you just because you have a gun. Now, of course, I'm not saying if they do stop you for no reason, that you should fight with them or become indignant, etc. You don't fight police on the street. You're not going to win that. You fight in a courtroom. You fight in front of a judge, because later when you're in front of a judge, judges love to smack down overbearing police officers. So when you're in front of that judge, you have a good chance of winning if you were in the right. If you decide to fight on the street, then you've just justified them taking you in. You've made it to where no judge wants to pay any attention to you because you're someone who fought with police, and you could even lose your life because of a stupid decision. But just because you do have due recourse after this happens doesn't mean that we as a community should accept when it happens. We should stand up against this any time it happens. And we shouldn't put ourselves in a situation where we go, well, it's okay that it happened to that person because they turned out to be a bad guy in the end. It doesn't matter. If police target someone because, say, they're open carrying in a place they can legally open carry, then it turns out that person has a bench warrant for not paying his child support. That doesn't make the police right in doing what they did. They're still wrong. He might be a bad guy, but they still abused their power and they still violated someone's constitutional rights. It doesn't even matter if that person turns out to be a felon in possession of a gun they can't legally own. If they are not actively doing something wrong at that time or actively presenting a threat to someone at that time that would give that officer just cause to stop them, then that officer is still wrong. It is still an injustice and we should still stand up against it. Now, it would be different if that officer knew, hey, that's John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. I know he has a felony record and I can see a gun under his shirt. That's just cause to stop him. Or if they're just sitting on a park bench pointing their gun at people for no reason, that's reason for police to intervene. They are an active threat to other people's safety. Those are just reasons to get involved and stop someone. But just acting on a hunch or just acting because you think you might be able to find something if you stop them, that's not just cause. That does not justify what they did. The ends does not justify the means when police overstep their authority and violate the rights of citizens. If these people did something wrong, they need to be caught for doing that in the proper way. Police don't get carte blanche reason to stop anybody anytime to see if they've done something wrong or not. That's the very reason there's lots of laws that say if police do this, if they stop someone without just cause, if they don't have justifiable reason to investigate someone, even if they find evidence of another crime, there's a very big chance they won't be able to use that in court because they obtained it in a way that was unjust. That's why those laws are there, to keep police in check. And we as a gun community especially, we should not accept things like this. We should stand up every time this happens, no matter who it happens to and no matter what kind of person that person turns out to be. We aren't dealing with that person. We're dealing with the act of police overstepping their authority and violating people's constitutional rights. That's what we're standing up against. You do not want to put yourself in the position of saying it's okay sometimes when this happens, as long as the person that it happens to deserves it. Because if you accept that fact, if you accept that it's okay sometimes, then you're going to have to accept the fact that it's okay all the time, even when it happens to you. Because there's going to be a lot of people out there that think you deserved it just because you had a gun.